Good morning, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? So, as we know, today is Christmas, and I think Ukraine and Russia. It's Orthodox countries, so they celebrate Christmas January 7th, which is today. So I joked with Daria; she gets two Christmases because they still celebrate December 25th. Anyway, what's going on with silver? 77.27. Mr. Fuji, the AI idiot, is saying, oh, it's because of the banks were selling. Well, obviously the banks are selling. Tell me, why do you think the price went from 83 to 77? Why is it going down 6? I noticed it last night. It was at 82 something, and all of a sudden it dropped to 80 and then 79. And okay, but you have to cover when they ask for delivery of the silver. Well, who do you think's buying it? China. And China wants delivery. So I don't know what these banks are doing. I don't get, they're losing a ton. I don't get what they're doing shorting something that's going up. This is such a stupid paper mess, this comex. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. What are the banks doing? They're shorting. Why? The price isn't going down. Okay, in the comex world, you're playing with the paper, making the price go down. But outside of that, it's not going to last because the rest of the world's going to buy it and take delivery because they need silver. I mean, so it's the stupidest thing. Gold 44.44, got up to 44.90, seems to be stuck at 45, although we saw it go to 45 last week. But okay, we're in the 44.40s. That's fine. 77.14 for silver now. There's no idea. This is the 10 o'clock drop. I mean, these bankers are got to be the dumbest people in the world. Why would you just not buy it and let the price run up and make a lot more money with no risk that way? Instead, you're shorting. You got to cover, stand for delivery, and off you go. So I really don't know what they're doing. Like I said, the idiot says, "Oh, the banks, dump at 83." Yeah, we get that. We saw the price go down. We know that's what's happening. The question is why do the banks are not going to make any money off of it? Then I saw another stupid thing by him about the debt. Oh, we're going to pay the debt off without using, we're not going to pay the 39 trillion off. We're going to set up something through the central bank, through the Fed. Well, you still owe the 38 trillion, 39 trillion to the people who bought your bonds. That doesn't go away. You can't get rid of debt. Again, this is what idiots think. This guy's a Keynesian, I found out. Because Keynesians will say macroeconomics, and we say individualism or microeconomics. We're about the individual. So you can't like pay the Fed the 39 trillion and say, oh, my debt's gone. What an idiot. Oh my God. That's why it's hard to listen to AI people. It's they really don't know what they're talking about, and they're just like looking off of a script, and they can't explain it. And so I just stay away from AI, all issues of it. It's, as I showed you about critical thinking last night, the critical thinking is there's very few of us left who can actually think. Hey, John Z, good morning. Who can actually think on their own and ask the question, why is COMEX going down? Why is COMEX there? Why are we not just pricing gold and silver for what it is? Why are we needing COMEX to price fix it? Why aren't we paying on the delivery? So there's all that. Anyway, we'll get back to this. But 77.23. So we did see 83 silver last night. It didn't hold, but it got there. It'll get there again. Eventually, we'll get to 100, up to 500. They can't really hold it. There's just too much demand, and there's so little supply that there's nothing they can really do. John Harbaugh got fired. Well, yeah, and Jim Harbaugh should be fired too. John Harbaugh never got it. Using Lamar as his quarterback was stupid, but he never got it. He never went. He'd have been better off with Tyler Huntley as the quarterback, and Lamar has got to be like usually if it's short on Milk-K. Let me take a check. Some days I have no internet problems, and some days I do. Hello? Hello? Okay, I guess I'm still on. That's my check. So, John Harbaugh was a terrible coach. For the talent he had, he didn't know how to use it. Why would you play Lamar as your quarterback? In what system does Lamar work as your quarterback? Maybe an Army-Navy system where you're running the wishbone, and then I wouldn't make him my quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. He never was. He never will be. He doesn't know how to throw and read. The only reason he did anything against Pittsburgh was the defender fell down, the guy's wide open, and he was lucky enough to find him. Way too many overthrows. Can't read. But Harbaugh kept going with him. See, in other words, he won the MVP twice. Why? I don't know. I don't have any idea. So he wins the MVP twice, even though Mahomes is 10 times better, and Joe Burrow. And Harbaugh believes that. So he uses it as a quarterback, but they never win a playoff game with him. Oh, sure, they win the bullshit first round wild card game, but they play Buffalo, they play Kansas City. They don't win anything. They're not even competitive in these games. A lot of turnovers because he doesn't know what he's doing. So why do you keep using him as quarterback? And now here's where it comes back to bite him. Sorry, Harbaugh, you don't win shit. Not only that, you didn't even make the playoffs because Lamar got hurt. You don't have a plan B. So it reminds me of the Lions. The Lions are the same thing. They don't realize there'll be injuries. So they pay all these players $20-30 million. As soon as they get injured, the backup's the guy who works at the grocery store, which is my point. Again, they're not critical thinking. Harbaugh didn't critical think. The Lions, Dan Campbell doesn't critical think. Dan Campbell should be fired. He's not a good coach. He's a good motivator. The team plays hard, but they don't win. They don't win the big games. They were 15-2 last year and lost to a Washington team who was 100 times inferior. He didn't know how to beat Daniels. He didn't know how to run on him. Well, that's what we need you for. It's good to get to 15-2, but it's actually good to win. And again, you had the easy schedule. This year you had the hard schedule. You go 9-8. You missed the playoffs. You had 2 easy games, Pittsburgh and Minnesota, and you couldn't win them. And that's it. And then you beat the Bears, so what? You beat the Bears when you're out of it and there was no pressure, but when there was pressure on to beat Minnesota and Pittsburgh, you didn't show up. Goff never shows up in the big games. 6 turnovers against Minnesota? Put pressure on Goff, he chokes. Okay, so how long are you going to keep losing with Goff? Good quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. Any quarterback can throw the ball 15 yards down the field and hit St. Thomas breaking open. Whippy, that's not the point of the quarterback has to win under pressure. He has to win the game, or you can be Fran Tarkenton. How good was he? Yeah, they got the 3 Super Bowls with him, but they lost everyone and they got killed in all of them. I mean, he wasn't a good quarterback. The throwing for the yards is one thing, but winning is the other. Bradshaw, Staubach, Montana, Brady, that's a good quarterback. Steve Young sucks because he choked all the big games. And then the Giants won with Lawrence Taylor, not with Phil Simms. Phil Simms sucked. They won without him. They won with Hostetler. You're better off going with Hostetler. He was a better quarterback. I don't know why he played Phil Simms. I don't know why they drafted Phil Simms. He was never any good. Anyway, it's the quarterback's job is to win, not to throw a 15-yard pass down the middle. Like Caleb, I mean, he had a lot of against Detroit. They had to win the game, and he had a lot of bad passes, a lot of mysteries. Then in the fourth quarter, they start playing a little better, and we'll see. But nothing really there. So I don't buy Caleb. If you want me to believe in Caleb, he's got to beat Green Bay this week, and then he's got to win the next game because he's playing well. Anyway, that's the thing. Am I still on? I hope I'm still on. Am I still on? Okay, I guess I'm still on. Am I still on now? I might check. So, am I on now? I don't. John Harbaugh. All right, I'm going to come back. I don't know if I'm on or not. Maybe I'm on. Am I on? Can you just let me know I'm on? Was a terrible coach for the talent. Was a terrible coach for the talent. Am I on now? Am I on now? No, I guess I'm on. I'll play it as if I'm on. All right. So yeah, I mean, this is the problem. And then they hire another idiot coach, and they wonder why they fire him a year or two later. Like Arizona, what coach did you hire? And now you're firing him. And then you see the same old coaches. The Dallas coach who was at Green Bay. Oh yeah, he might be a new coach. Well, why? He's done so good. I mean, he's terrible. McCarthy. So it's not even that they fire the coach; it's who they bring in. I don't know how they're making these decisions, but they're terrible decisions. I think the Lions should get the Army coach. The Lions really want to win. They should get the Army coach. He's a very good coach. He wins with Army guys who aren't as strong as the regular guys. I remember he went to Michigan and Oklahoma, and I think he won at Oklahoma and had an overtime game with Michigan. He's a very good coach, and I would get rid of Campbell for him in a heartbeat. That's what they need, a very good, disciplined coach who knows how to coach, who knows how to win. It's not, oh, let's go on every fourth down. Let's play golf. Let's sign these guys. I mean, they don't know what they're doing. They're just trying, as we talked yesterday about the people who just try to get likes. And that's what I think they are. They're just trying to get likes. And that's the problem. So anyway, I find most of these coaches are bad. And I find when I work, most of the managers are idiots. I have very little respect for most of the managers who manage me. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to use me properly, except for the girl at Mercedes. She was a very smart manager. She knew me. She understood me, and she saw what kind of work I did and let me go. Just do this, do that, and go. And so I did that. And then as far as the other things, most of the managers are stupid. I've had managers, they're just control freaks. They're accountants who don't know how to manage. They don't know how to do people. Most accountants are not like me where they're outgoing. They're all immature, insecure. what do you call it, inward people, and they never should manage. But you need an accountant to manage accountants. The problem is they don't know how to manage. And I think that's a problem with most management positions, either being at GM or at Ford or at Mercedes or at not Mercedes, but at like Tenneco or at in the NFL or baseball. They're very weak. They don't know what they're doing. They listen to analytics because they don't have a mind of their own. And this is the problem. This is why you see a Belichick win so many Super Bowls. He understood it because he had played. He had coached for Parcells, so he knew how to think. And then he was a critical thinker and an art of war guy. And you get to Dan Campbell's not a critical thinker. He doesn't know what he's doing. Well, we're tough and we're going to be aggressive and we're going to go for it on fourth down. No, you're not. It's stupid. It's 4th and 5 at your own 29. No, you don't go for fourth down. I'll give you an example. In the Bear game against the Lions last week, it's 4th and 3 at midfield. No, at like the 40. And there's no way the Lions are really going to go for it. They're trying to draw them off sides. And if you looked up, the play clock was at 2 or 1. And the defensive end hits the center and goes off sides and gives them a first down. When it's under 5, they're not hiking the ball, number one. And number two, you're not thinking. You got to think. Are they hiking the ball? Well, it's 2 seconds. I'm just going to, I don't think they're going to hike the ball, so don't jump off sides. That should be the first thing that the people with brains on the defense should be thinking. Don't jump off sides. After he hikes the ball, then I can attack. But wait, there's no reason to attack early. Then we go off sides and we get it. These penalties in the NFL are terrible. He touched him, so it was interference. It's not. You don't call it. It's like speeding, and the speed limit's 40, and you're going 44. You don't call it. You don't call these stupid penalties, especially on 3rd and 20, especially on a pass that's nowhere near the guy you called it on. There's times you don't call the interference. There's interference and holding on every play, but you don't call it. There's a game. People are watching. You're killing the emotion of the game. You're killing the game with these stupid penalties that should never be called. Nobody's arguing, was it a penalty? The argument is, why are you calling it? It's 4th, it's 3rd and 20, and they're throwing a 5-yard pass, and you're bailing them out with this bullshit pass interference call or this holding penalty. Or and a number of these penalties, illegal guy downfield. What are you calling that for? They're not. The intent is that he's going down, but if he's just 2 yards down the field because he's blocking somebody, you don't call that penalty. There's penalties you call. You don't just call every penalty because it's a penalty. It depends on the time. It depends on you're killing the game. That's what my thought is. So with that, let's go. Let's look at college, and then we'll go look at the pros. All right, 77.50 silver, it's on its way back. 44.48 for gold. All right, it's on its way back. Now, I have posted my picks, so if you're interested in my college picks, I posted them. Here's the latest lines. We got Miami 3.5, 52.5. And we've got Indiana 3.5, 47.5. And I played both of those games. Miami, an A team with the 12 defense, and Mississippi's an A team with the 20. I got them with the 27 defense. Oregon is a team with a 15 defense, and Indy is an A team with a we'll call it a net defense. So the best defense is Indy, not the best quarterback. No, Carson Beck's not that good. Chambliss, I don't buy, and Dante Moore, no. So I guess of the four quarterbacks, he's the best, but he's not the best. Daggio Pavia is. Sawyer Robertson at Baylor is. There's a few others. I can go through the quarterbacks. Why don't we take a look at that now? I did get the weather for the NFL, so I was happy for that. All right, let's look at the best quarterbacks. And this will be by touchdowns. All right, so Mendoza, 229 yards a game because they ran a lot. I don't look at quarterback ratings. That's bullshit. It's a lot of little passes to the backfield. 71%, 33 touchdowns, 6 picks. Sawyer Robertson, Baylor, excellent quarterback, 31 touchdowns, 12 picks. He's the real deal. Julian Sayin, Ohio State, I don't buy him at all. Drew Mestamaker, 31-7, North Texas, but he transferred to Oklahoma State with the coach. Darren Mensoff from Duke was at Tulane, 30 touchdowns and 5 picks. I wouldn't draft him. Josh Hoover at TCU, yeah, he's a nice one, 29-13. Joe Fagnano from Connecticut, 28 touchdowns and 1 pick. Can you believe that? Byron Brown transferred to Auburn, 28 touchdowns and 7 picks. I don't get it. He didn't throw for 4,000 yards. He threw for 3,000 yards, but they're trying to make it like he's thrown for 4,000 yards and so many touchdowns. That's in 2 years. Not last year was 3,100, 28-7, nothing big. Here's our man, Daggio Pava, 27 touchdowns, 8 picks, 3,100 yards. And again, he had to play Bama, Texas, Tennessee, and very good. He's a winner. Owen McCown, UTSA, 27-7. Sorsby at Cincinnati, he's transferred to Texas Tech, I believe, 27-5. Ty Simpson at Alabama, no thank you, 26-5. Noah Fahita at Arizona, 26-5 is okay. I finally saw him, and he runs too much. Kevin Jennings at SMU, I'd stay away from him, 26-10. Carson Beck, Miami, 25-10. Okay, nothing special. Evan Simon at Temple, 25-2. That's why I like Temple last year. Marcel Reed, I don't know. Marcel Reed was 25-10 for A&M, but he choked in the big games at the end. Texas and then the Miami game. Jacob Clark, Missouri State, 24-11. Who cares? Keldon Volkamp, Florida Atlantic, 24-17. Too many picks. Now here's Dante Moore. He threw for 2,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 6 picks. Why would he be the first pick in the draft? Why would he be in the first round? I don't like. Oh, then we have Arch Manning, who wants to run, 24-7. He sucks. Joey Aguilar, I would pick him high. 24 touchdowns and 10 picks. CJ Carr for Notre Dame. He's a freshman. Braylon Baxton was pretty good at Marshall 2 years ago. Last year at Southern Miss, 23. I wouldn't run after him. Gunnar Stockton, 23-5. Maivia at USC, 23-8. Anthony Colandra at Vegas, 23-8. CJ Bailey, North Carolina State, 23-9. The other Jalen Daniels at Kansas, 22-7. He's okay. Brendan Morton from Texas Tech, 22-4. He might be okay. Devin Dampier, I really like him at Utah, 22-5. And let's see, Luke Altmaier at Illinois, 21-5. Connor Wegman, I don't like him. Let's see. That's about it. So there's a few. I don't like the Boise quarterback or the Kansas State one. So those are your top quarterbacks who are Okay, Raiders want to get Mendoza for some reason. I'd get if I'm in charge of Oakland, my first draft pick's going to be the Texas Tech guy. You don't find these strong defensive players at Texas Tech. Okay, so let's say you get the quarterback. All right, then what? You don't have a line and you don't have a defense. And you're not going to win with just a quarterback. And this isn't the Big Ten. You got to play Denver, San Diego, and KC twice a year. And what are you going to do without an offensive line or a defense? So what do you think Mendoza is going to come in and throw for 10 touchdowns a game? I mean, this is the problem. Getting a quarterback in the first round, you're wasting a pick. You can just as easily grab Luke McCown from UTSA in the third round. Look at Bo Nix. Bo Nix went 8th. Who was the third rounder? There was a third rounder that was good. Oh, yeah, Joe Montana. Third round pick. You don't have to get the guy with the first pick. In fact, you need not to. You want Lawrence Taylor in the first pick. You want Mike Singletary with the first pick, or Dan Hampton, or any one of the wrestlers. But you don't really want the quarterback with the first pick. Very rarely do they do anything. And I don't think we can name a first round, first draft pick that's ever done anything as a quarterback. Peyton Manning did shit. You've got maybe Elway, I guess, was the closest. Was he a first pick? Brady was 7th round. Montana was 3rd round. That just shows you don't need the first pick. But the more important is teams with the Lawrence Taylor and McMichael and Singletary, Joe Green, first pick. How did that work out? Much better than Bradshaw's. The first pick was terrible. Took him 5 years until he got Lynn Swann and Franco Harris. He didn't do anything. So it's just that's where you're at with it. They can take Mendoza. They'll still win 2 games next year. It's not like that's the key. The key's, as we know, defense. And now you've got Crosby pissed off at you for benching him. And you ended up winning one of the games anyway. So I really don't get that. But yeah, I wouldn't take him. I would take the defensive players on Texas Tech or Miami, and you're much stronger with that. And you can probably get 2 or 3 of those guys. I would trade the first pick for 2 or 3 picks, and then get 2 or 3 defensive players: Miami, Texas Tech, Ohio State. That's how I would do it. Now I got 3 good players. And then I could easily pick up a quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round. I just gave you 20 quarterbacks. So again, Miami 3.5, 52.5. I don't buy that Old Mississippi's all that. From what I can tell, looking at Miami, the one common denominator I'm going to give you is the South Florida game. South Florida had that quarterback, Brian Barnes, who just transferred, and they ran up the score a lot, right? They'd score 50, 60 points a game. They played Miami. Miami beat them like 51-7 or something crazy like that. I don't think Miami gave up more than 24 points to anybody. And they played Florida State. And then they just played Texas A&M and Ohio State. Now, those are the 2 that stick out. You gave up 14 to Ohio State. You gave up 3 to Texas A&M. That's very impressive. Notre Dame gave up 41, and they had a good defense, right? So very strong defense will be they'll put pressure on this Chambliss. He's not going to run around. He might have a few plays, but this is a very fast defense. The defense controls the offense. The problem's going to be when Miami has the ball. Look for Miami to go on 8, 9 minute drives, keep the ball away from Chambliss. Mississippi's got a very weak defense. They gave up 34 to Georgia. And in the first week, while they played Tulane, that doesn't really count. But here they're gonna struggle here. The second game, Oregon, Indiana played a 30-20 game with a pick six by your man Mendoza. Very strong defense, holding Alabama to 3 points. You got to be kidding. And Oregon, I don't like Oregon's quarterback. Moore is not going to do anything against this defense. This defense is playing very strong. Why is it at the Peach Bowl? When did the Peach Bowl become a major bowl? What are they doing? They're at the Rose Bowl. They're at the Peach Bowl, and Miami's at the Fiesta Bowl. Like, well, what are you talking about there? So I think the prudent play is play both these games under. You play the defense. The quarterback tends to choke in the big games, as I told you about Jared Goff, and I told you about Caleb, and I tell you about a lot of these. They can handle regular, but when they get in a big game, they choke. Defense doesn't choke. Defense is not chokeable. They're just going to go after and tackle and intercept and hit. There's no real choking going on. The quarterback chokes when he doesn't throw the ball or he fumbles. That's what I'm saying with Harbaugh and Lamar. It's the same thing. You've got Harbaugh, who should have been fired 10 years ago. He got lucky. He won one Super Bowl because he had Ed Reed and Marvin Lewis or Ray Lewis, and they played the Giants, who had no quarterback, right? So, yeah, you won. It was a bullshit Super Bowl. Okay. I don't know. Did you beat New England that year or what? It was that the year Brady broke his leg or whatever. But after that, where were they? They had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed for 10 years. They never came back. Harbaugh beat Harbaugh Jr. So I don't think he was the coach when Ray Lewis won. So he beat Harbaugh Jr. in the Baltimore-San Francisco game. And he had to use Kaepernick, who sucks. So that's what you have is you cannot win with Lamar, but yet he doesn't realize it. I don't get why coaches are like that. If he's such a good quarterback, why didn't you win the Super Bowl? Mahomes won it every year. Well, that shows you that Lamar can't beat Mahomes. Tyler Huntley maybe could have done a lot better, certainly looked better in the big game against Green Bay. And with Lamar out at wide receiver, you might have been able to do better. Freddie Solomon was a quarterback for the Niners when Montana was there. And how did that work out? Oh, yeah, they won 2 Super Bowls with Freddie Solomon. He was fast, and you put him out there. And, once in a while you threw a wide receiver pass because he was a quarterback, I think at Tampa in college. And so, but there you go. That's probably the best example. And then Hines Ward and Anton Randall L. I mean, quarterbacks playing receivers is a very common thing that works. So Harbaugh got what he deserved. The other Harbaugh should be fired too. It was a bad hire. He's a cheat. Why do you really you've killed your integrity by hiring a cheater? And we'll see. They blew it. They should have drafted Brock Bowers instead of the guard from Notre Dame who he played like 3 games. He's been hurt for 2-3 years. So anyway, that's college. So I think you play the games under. I don't know, Miami, Mississippi. I just think it'll be low scoring versus, Mississippi can maybe hang around. I don't agree with the rankings. Mississippi 6 and Miami 10 is bullshit. That's why these rankings are a joke. If anything, Miami's like 4. Miami just beat Ohio State, right? So I think Miami should be 3 or 4, but you're looking at the record. Well, are we looking at the record in the pros? I mean, come on. And Ole Miss hasn't really, let's take a dive into this. Did Old Miss beat any good team? Let's take a look. Who did Old Miss beat that's any good? Georgia State, Kentucky, Arkansas. They struggled with Arkansas 41-35. Tulane, LSU, who was not very good this year, 24-19. Washington State, 24-21, who's not that good. Georgia beat them. They beat a weak Oklahoma team, 34-26 was Oklahoma. Yeah, they were in the playoff, and they gave up 38 to Alabama, who basically got shut out by Indiana. So I don't call the Oklahoma win too impressive. The Georgia was a loss. They beat South Carolina, Citadel, Florida, and Mississippi State. So basically, they have no big wins on the biggest win is Oklahoma, who is not a big win, and LSU was kind of weak this year. And then we see them in the postseason. They beat Tulane, who was nothing, shouldn't have been in there. And then they beat Georgia, who had beaten them, who was average. Wasn't a good Georgia team, 39-34. So they gave up 34 to Georgia. So I'm not seeing a very good defense here. So I think Miami with the much better defense and a pretty equal offense. Carson back, yeah. I think they have a running back, but they have such a strong defense. Putting up 24 at Ohio State's impressive. Indiana put up 13. So I don't buy it, but let's see who Miami. Okay, Miami has just beaten a pretty decent Pitt team, a good A&M team, and Ohio State. So right there, they beat three good teams. NC State was playing well, and yeah, their loss. They beat Notre Dame also, which everybody wants to forget. So Mississippi hasn't beaten anybody. Oregon, Indiana, we know they played each other, and Indy won at Oregon 30-20 is enough for me. I think, uh, I think, Oregon surprised me beating Texas Tech like that. So I'm looking at their defense, and I'm thinking this is a defensive game, right? Indiana's not going to put up 38. They did on Alabama, on Oregon, right? Oregon shutting out Texas Tech just shows me their defense is good, but Texas Tech really wasn't that strong of an offensive team. They lived on their defense. So I'm thinking this is a very low scoring game. So that's what you got. Does Indiana win? Probably, because I don't like Moore, the quarterback. And I don't really love the, Mendoza, but okay. I don't think there's really a super quarter. I think you got Dagiopava and Robertson. That's it. It's a very weak class. All right, let's go to the NFL. Not for long, as Jerry Glanville will say. Let's look at the news. Travis Kelce undecided about retirement. Just go marry the girl already. Ooh, the experts think this could happen. This is why we don't listen to experts. They're talking more about coaching. Who should Ravens hire to replace John Harbaugh? Let's get rid of Lamar. Potential John Harbaugh landing spots after leaving the Ravens. Who wants him? So it's not giving us any injury reports. Lions fire offensive coordinator John Morton, who came in to replace Ben Johnson. Well, he was fired after week 3 when the coaches Why was he there? If the coach has to call the plays, your offensive coordinator is basically fired week 3. I'm not getting any injuries. Where's my injuries? All right. We've got LA 10, 46.5. First game at Carolina. And I do have weather we will get into. Oh, fuck. I didn't bring in the trends yet. Maybe I'll do that now. I've got the Bears 1 and 46 and the Packers 1 and 46. So you can take whatever dog you want. I will take Green Bay and then give you that as the free play. So your free play is take Green Bay as a dog. Now let's check the injuries on this. Jordan Love will start versus the Bears. So let's take a look at the injuries. Dantani and Vicks for Green Bay is questionable. Well, let's just view all. See if there's any names we recognize. It's a bunch of these third stringers that are on the injury report for some reason. Tucker Kraft, the tight end, is on injured reserve. Micah Parsons, yeah, no, we knew that one, fellas. Malik Willis is questionable with the shoulder, but I'm sure he'll be the backup. And Dantanian Wicks is a questionable with concussion. He'll be playing. So no injuries there. Let's look at the Bears. DJ Moore is questionable. Let's see. Noah Sewell, the linebackers on IR. CJ Gardner Johnson, the safety's got a concussion. He's questionable. He'll be playing. DJ Moore, questionable with a knee. He'll be playing. Romo Duze, questionable with the foot. He's been out a month. So that's what we've got. Fuck, I did the last 5. All right, I'm going to go into my sheet in a minute and update everything. All right, so we've got either the Bears or the Packers -1, depending on what your source is, and 45.5. We'll get to weather in a minute. The Bills and the Jaguars. We've got Buffalo -1, 1.5, 52.5. We've got Allen against Lawrence, Buffalo on the road. I think it's a that even game. Tease the dog. 49ers, Eagles. Eagles 4.5, 44.5. Purdy against Hurts. We'll go in and check the injuries on all the games. Philadelphia's offense have been lousy. They're not scoring. San Francisco has been scoring a ton, except for last week with Seattle. Philly with a pretty decent defense, as we know, but they've been hurt. And they didn't recover they let off 3 or 4 free agents, and they really didn't replace them. And that's the problem when you pay Barkley all this money and the receivers all this money. You're paying the wrong people. You need to keep the money to keep the defense. That's what wins. That's what won it for you last year. So Philly's okay. They're not great. The Niners should be able, I think, be a live dog in this game. Or the total, I think, over. We'll see what Philly, but Jalen Hurts is so bad. So if you don't think Hurts is going to do anything, take the Niners. If you think Hurts is going to have a big game, and I don't know where you're getting that from, then it would be an over. New England, 3.5, 46 to San Diego. San Diego's got to come across country, but it's an 8 o'clock game. and you have New England, a very strong defense. Both teams have strong defenses in this game. Drake May, it's his first big game. We'll see. And then San Diego, we see how Harbaugh Jr. Is pretty lousy in big games. But he won the national title in college. No, he didn't. He just ran the ball. That was just, we got a good defense and we're going to run the ball and keep the ball out of J.J. McCarthy's hands, and they won. He didn't do anything. And is San Diego a live dog? I don't trust them. New England, very good at home. They got a very good offense, defense, better coach. Quarterback's about even, Herbert against May. So maybe you go under, maybe you take New England. And our last game is Houston 339.5. Stroud against Rodgers. It's not even close. You got Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf back. I like Pitt as a home dog, and I'm not sure about the under. So let's go check the weather, and then we'll come back and look at whatever injuries we can get. So I had to revisit this NFL weather. I wasn't getting 26, and even now it says 25, but I'm getting the games. So we got LA at Carolina Saturday night. Chance of showers, 69 degrees, so the weather won't be cold, and 12-mile-an-hour winds. We go into the game, it's 70 and 13-mile-an-hour winds, likely rain. 70 and 13-mile-an-hour winds, second quarter, 70 and 12-mile-an-hour winds, and 67 and 12 at the end of the game. Likely rain. Now, how is the rain going to affect it? Well, we saw the game last week with Tampa and Carolina. It rained, and it was very low scoring. In this case, if we're going to get a lot of rain, we've got to be careful. The total is 46.5. Stafford against Young. Young won't do shit. Probably be hard to run the ball in the rain, in the wet. A lot of people slipping. I think it'll help the Rams. They're going to get back Devontae, Adams. He'll be back with Pukanuka. And my favorite, little Tutu Atwell. So we'll see. It'll be warm, which will help. It's not too windy, which will help. So can Stafford throw the ball in the rain? The receivers have a big edge because they know where they're going, although they'll play this soft zone bullshit. I think the Rams win. I'd rather see it not rain. We'll see. Today's Wednesday, so we'll see maybe Friday. Last week, a lot of the weather changed as we got closer to the weekend. Green Bay, Chicago, we got 23 16-mile-an-hour winds and a chance of snow. 32, then second quarter, 22 16-mile-an-hour winds, 22 16-mile-an-hour winds, and 20 with 17-mile-an-hour. So we're going to have kind of cold and a little windy, which is what you expect in Chicago, which is what it was like when they played a few weeks ago. And that game, what was that game? The Bears. It was 22-16 Chicago. They played a 38 on a miracle onside kick they got. So it was pretty low scoring. It was Green Bay got down to the goal line and they choked and they went for fourth once and kicked field goals. So you got a total of 46 and you got kind of cold and kind of windy. Hard to say what we'll get here. Maybe you get an under with the wind because it's windy and that's got to affect it. The cold won't. Green Bay, Chicago, it's no big deal. Barely an inconvenience. Jacksonville, Buffalo, 67 and cloudy in Jacksonville. Weather is fine for this one. San Francisco at Philly. We got 46 in Philly with a slight chance of rain. Kickoff 38 with 11-mile-an-hour winds. 40 and 11-mile-an-hour winds. Second quarter, 39, 13-mile-an-hour winds. Third quarter, 38 and 11. So we have a pretty mild day there. A little bit windy, but Frisco has a lot of wind where they play too. So the weather shouldn't be a problem here. Slight chance of rain, so you're not getting rain. LA and New England. All these games are outdoors, notice. Slight chance of rain, 6-mile-an-hour winds, 36. Let's see, 30, 8-mile-an-hour winds, 29, 8-mile-an-hour winds, 29, 8-mile-an-hour winds, and 38 mile an hour winds. So not terrible weather, not windy, very little chance of rain. So this is pretty good weather game. So far, the Green Bay game, we got a little windy. And then Houston at Pitt, we don't have yet. It says to be determined. Well, I would expect the New England weather should be, well, let's look at the Philly game. So Philly is 46 with a slight chance of rain. And what did we say? It was Philly is 38. So I think Pitt would be the same. I think it'll be mid to upper 30s, maybe a chance of rain. We'll see, but it shouldn't be freezing cold. If it's not freezing cold in Philly and it's not freezing cold in New England, it's not going to be freezing cold in Pitt. So look at this first round. You're at Pitt, you're at New England, you're at Philly, Jacksonville, the Bears, and Carolina. So you're all East Coast, nothing West Coast until next week when Seattle hosts. And maybe we'll see if the Rams host, but that's what you got. So we don't have weather issues except for the Bear game. A little bit. I'd be careful on the over. Last time Green Bay ball controlled it like the Lions did, right? So Chicago's playing an Army Navy game. They're playing bend but don't break defense. So you can advance the ball. It makes the defense tired, and then you just go from there. And then you have Caleb's not that good. Green Bay should have beat him last time. An onside kick miracle. Believe me, whoever recovered that kick or didn't recover it is taking a bus to the Kroger's because that's where he's going to be working. So that's where I'm giving you. I think Green Bay is a live dog in this game. I don't see the Bears killing them, and I'm not sure they can beat them. And then you do see some Green Bay's -1. So there is Chicago -1. And I think there's an even in that, but I would take Green Bay as the dog. All right, let me rack up my rankings here. All right. We'll start with the Rams. The Rams are an over team with the 27 defense. This will only take a minute. I've already done it. Carolina is they're an under team with the 22 defense, which means they don't score a lot. Green Bay. Green Bay is a E team with the 27 defense. Oh, I did it by that. Okay. The Bears are a B team with the 22 defense. Oh, this is last 5. Buffalo is a B team with the 21 defense. Jacksonville is the best team. Jacksonville is an A team with the 17 defense. We got the Niners are a team with the 22 defense. And Philly is a under team with a 15 defense. Holy shit. San Diego is a under team with an 18 defense. And New England's an A team with a 19 defense. And Planet Houston is a B team with a 20 defense. And Pittsburgh is a under with a 20 defense. Okay. So now we've got that settled. All right. So let's look at it now. The Rams, an over team with the 27 defense, lane 10, total 46.5. Stafford against Vince Young. Carolina, an under team. So Carolina doesn't score a lot with the 22 defense, but they gave up 31, or it was 31-28 when they played, which makes sense. An over of 46, I think, 46 being going over 40, although Carolina doesn't score much. So then it's, well, they're not going to score much. Maybe we take the Rams. Rams out with a great defense. Maybe we go over. The Rams will score. Green Bay and Chicago. Green Bay an E team with the 2070. So that means they score about 24. And we got to really throw out last week because they played, nobody, right? Their quarterback didn't play. So you kind of throw out that game with Minnesota. And then the Bears, a B team with the 22 defense. Love and Caleb. So the Bears score a little bit, but against Detroit, and see, this is why these are averages. So you got to take it as averages, right? So against the Lions with the 30 defense, and they only scored 16 points. So again, they didn't have the ball. The Lions did what the Packers did. They just chunked it down the field. And that's what Green Bay will do again. So it's going to be hard for the Bears to win unless they get a lot of picks, a lot of turnovers, interception returns. But Caleb's not going to beat you. So again, Chicago with the B team, 22 defense. So theoretically here, it looks like Chicago's the better team. They score more and they give up less. Again, this is last five versus Green Bay. Now, again, Micah Parsons is out. You get Love back. You get the receivers back. Green Bay beat them in Green Bay and should have beat them in Chicago. They don't get the miracle onside kick. It's a 16-16 game. Buffalo, Jacksonville. Buffalo, a B team. They score a lot, give up 21. Jacksonville, an A team with a 17 defense, who I don't really buy their 17 defense, but they do play very strong defense. And then it's Trevor Lawrence running the ball because he can't throw. He's a terrible quarterback. So what do you do here? The total is 51. Do you go over in this game? Well, you're going to really hold Josh Allen down. You have good weather, so you don't have to worry about it. I mean, he's played Kansas City and he's played Baltimore and still lit them up. So if Jacksonville can get the lead, it's an over because Buffalo will come back. And I don't think Jacksonville's defense is all that strong. Let's take a look at, does Jacksonville really have a 17 defense? Now, they do last five, but again, was their opponents whom? All right, last five, they beat Tennessee 41-7, Indy 23-17. They did beat Denver 34-20, but that was a 54-point game. They beat the Jets's 48-20 and Indiana 36-19. Both Indiana games, I don't think they had their quarterback. So they're giving up 19, 20, 20, and 17. Denver, yes, that's a real team, 20. The Jets aren't, and Indy without their quarterback aren't, and Tennessee's not. So let's get into Jacksonville. I believe they played Kansas City. Let's look at that score because Josh Allen's almost as good as Mahomes. So Jacksonville beat Kansas City 31-28. There you go. Seattle beat them 20-12. The Rams beat them 35-7. So you can't really take Jacksonville here. Playing the better teams, they didn't show up. Right? They beat Kansas City. We'll give them that. They lost. They beat the Niners 26-21. They actually beat Houston, but that was early 17-10. So then they beat Joe Burrow. They lost 31-27. So these are higher scoring games, 20-12. So Seattle got 20 on them. The Rams got 35 on them. Vegas played them 30-29. Houston beat them 36-29. They finally beat San Diego 35-6. Played a 50-point game with Arizona. Beat Tennessee 25-3, and then the last 5 I just mentioned. So, okay, Denver still got 20 on them. So there's no way Buffalo's not scoring in the upper 20s or 30s. This is a 54. Buffalo, we know, scores. They don't have much of a defense, so they're more, it's a 21 defense. So that's kind of how I look at it. And you gotta be a critical thinker, right? You can't just say, "Oh, Jacksonville's a 17." Yeah, they played Tennessee and Indy without their quarterback twice, and the JETSs. So yeah, the Denver game was a 20-pointer, but they scored a lot. So this is really a pretty explosive team. Even though we don't think of it, because Trevor Lawrence stinks, but they run a lot and they have decent defense. Frisco and Philly. Frisco an 18 with the 22 defense, and Philly an under with a 15. Purdy against Hurts, total 44. I mean, I think you got to take Frisco here. Philly is not going to score. Their defense is okay. I mean, we love all the Georgia players, but they don't have an offense. The Niners play pretty good defense, but they're an A team, and they were red hot, except for the Seattle game last week. I think they're going to be pissed. I think they'll play a good game, and you can get 10.5 with them. I think that's the way to go in this game. Is Philly not going to score a lot? So therefore, the Niners don't need to score. The Niners get 14, they're going to cover, because is Philly going to get 24? I mean, this is a team that's averaging like 15, 16 points a game, and they're giving up 15. So I think this is a Niner play. So I think you got Green Bay as a play. Maybe you go over in the Jacksonville game. I think you take the Niners as Philly doesn't score, and the Niners can light it up. San Diego, New England. San Diego, an under team with an 18. New England with an A team with a 19. Professor, what's the difference? They both have 18, 19 defenses. San Diego doesn't score, and New England scores a ton. And that's the difference. So can you play San Diego over? Well, they don't score a lot. Good defenses. It's probably an under game. If New England was the dog, it'd be a lock, but they're favored by 3. So I think New England wins. I think under is the prudent play, as both defenses are strong and San Diego doesn't. New England's going to run, and San Diego is going to come and play defense. So I think this is an under game. I wouldn't touch San Diego 9. New England's playing very well, and it's at home. You got that long flight for San Diego, and it is at 8 o'clock, so it won't be as big. And then Houston, Pitt. Houston, a B team with the 20 defense. They score upper 20s, except for against Oakland, and last week they did on the kickoff Stanford play where they instead of just laying on the ball scored. They must have known that we had teasers on it. Needed to cover the 2. Pittsburgh, an under team with the 20 defense. So both teams have 20 defenses. Rodgers against Stroud. I mean, it's a huge advantage to Rodgers. Even at 50 years old, it'd be a huge edge to Rodgers. You got DK Metcalf back. Houston, no offense. A B team shows you with about a 24 offense, but where was it against Oakland? They did play some games. Jacksonville, they scored some points. They're capable of scoring. But against Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh doesn't score much, but they still know how to win. I think Pittsburgh's a very live dog in this game. And I don't know. I like the game under superficially with both teams with the 20 defense, but then it's only 33. And then when you do the math, it's 20-14. And you're like, There's no way this game's not going to hit 20-14. So here's with a lie. If this is a 46, this would be a lock under 52. Not a problem. But when the line's so low, they're making you, if you're critical thinking about it, it's an over. It's the 9. It should be 45, 46. They're making it too much. They're overemphasizing the under on the game. It is an under game, but at some point, it's like making the spread instead of 3-10. All of a sudden, what's a good bet at 3, you almost want to go the other way with the 10. Sort of like the Ram game. It should be like a 7-point favorite. It's 10. 7, it's a lock. We take the Rams -1. At 10, we got to think about it. So here, I think Pitt's a live dog. But I'm scared of the Houston defense. And I think it's an over, but it's an under. It's an over because it's such a low total. Pitt's a live dog in the game because of Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, TJ Watt's back, and CJ Stroud doesn't do shit in a playoff game. Right. So you're not going to get a lot of offense from Houston. Now you might get turnovers from Houston, but then you got Aaron Rodgers who should understand it. You're going to try to run on Houston. Good luck, but they've got the Snackwell and the other running back Warren. Warren looks pretty good. He ripped off 3 long runs against the Lions. I loved it. So I think with that, you're okay. We'll try to figure out scores later, but I think the Rams definitely handle Carolina. They put up 31 on them. They lost 31-28, and that was turnovers by Stafford. He won't make the same mistakes. And I'm not betting on Bryce Young to win a playoff game. Love and Caleb, I'm not betting on really either of them to win a playoff game, but Love's won playoff games. Caleb still doesn't know where he is. Allen against Lawrence. Allen's much better. Lawrence just runs, but I think he'll get points. Purdy and Hurts, pretty even. I don't buy Hurts. Hurts winning the MVP was a joke last year in the Super Bowl. What did he do? If anything, it's that defensive player Baum who should have won it, or Jalen Carter, or 5 or 6 defensive players. There was a Super Bowl 5 where Baltimore played Dallas, and the linebacker was the MVP, or Leroy Jordan or whatever. The quarterbacks were so bad that they couldn't give it a go quarterback. But I don't buy that Hurts should have been the MVP last year. And Philly's not been playing well, and I don't think you can turn a switch. The Niners have been playing very well. They're getting their players back. They've been to the playoffs a lot. I think they have the better coach, and I do not like whatchamacallit, the Niner coach. I can't think of his name, but I don't really like him. I don't like the Philly coach. I think he's out of his mind. The push tush is not working. They figured it out, and it's not going anywhere, and it fumbles a lot. There's a lot of false starts. I think that's on its way out mechanically without being voted out. Although I did see another team use it, I think Sunday night, I think they used it. I think Pitt used it, but they use it with the tight end, which is how it should be. You don't want your quarterback running it in there. So I don't. San Diego, Herbert against May not being there before. So you got Young, Caleb, Lawrence, and May really in their first. Lawrence was there before. He did nothing. But Drake May, he looks good, but now it's pressure time. We'll see how he is. And then Stroud against Rodgers. Stroud doesn't show up. Rodgers has won the Super Bowl. So if you just look at quarterbacks, you're on Stafford, you're on Love, you're on Allen, you're on Purdy, you're on Herbert, you're on Rodgers if you're just on quarterbacks. But we think deeper than that. So I think that's how you play it. I think the Rams win and over. Green Bay is your free play. Go Green Bay as the dog. You got to be careful of the wind if you want to take the total in the game. Maybe you go under. but it's scary playing Green Bay, Chicago under because they both score. Buffalo, Jacksonville. If Buffalo turns dog, we take Buffalo. At this point, they're laying 1, so we're not taking Jacksonville. We'll go over. Frisco, Philly. We got Frisco as a live dog at 4.5. Let me check the injuries there. Is there something we're not seeing? Let's see. I mean, really, Philly's 12-5, and the Eagles are 11-6. Oh, Kyle Shanahan. So the 49ers, D winners, never heard of them. Linebacker questionable. Curtis Rourke, our Indianapolis, our Indy quarterback. That was smart. They took him late round, and he'll be the predecessor to Purdy. And did we notice how Trey Lance did as playing? Yeah, he didn't show up, did he? Let's see. This is the Niners. Let's see. Ricky Pearsall, questionable with the knee. He's not very good anyway. Why would you take a receiver out of Florida? They don't. They're not a passing type style team. Trent Williams, he's questionable with the hamstring. I would imagine he'll play if he can. Brandon Ayuk, now he's not. Nick Bosa, injured reserve. Fred Warner, injured reserve. So, yeah, they're pretty beaten up, but they've been playing well. The Eagles, Lane Johnson, their tackle, questionable with the foot. Dallas Goedert, questionable with the knee. They'll both play, I guarantee that. Questionables always play in these playoff games. Let's see. Anybody else? Jalen Carter, questionable with the hip. He'll play. Nakobe Dean, my guy from Georgia, questionable with the hamstring. Georgia players will always play. Let's see. Everybody's list is questionable. Ogbo Okoronkwo, outside linebackers on injured reserve. Never heard of him. Dallas Goedert, questionable with the knee. Jair Alexander is retired. Why is he on here? And that's it. So I don't see the injuries being a factor. So, I mean, you got to go. I think Frisco's a live dog here. I think New England, I think it's an under. San Diego, both two good defenses. Drake May's going to choke a little bit. The tendency is to call the game close to the chest, as Batman would do, where it's just going to be, it's not going to be a wide open game. San Diego with a good defense, as does New England. I think it'll be lower, more running, lower scoring. Let's not turn the ball over. Let's punt the ball and not go for 4th down at midfield. I think you'll get a lot more of that. And Houston Pitt, I think Pitt's a live dog, and I don't know. That total is awfully low for an under, especially it's just like the Baltimore game, right? Baltimore Pitt was also a 39, and I played it over, even though theoretically it should have been an under. And TJ Watt played, and they ended up scoring 50 points. And I don't know against Houston, but Houston does score, but you're making it such a low scoring game. 39, 33, 20-14. With Aaron Rodgers, you're not holding Green Bay or Pittsburgh to 0. Houston's got a good defense, but they gave up 21 to Oakland. They gave up 29 last week. Now, I don't think everybody played last week. Well, they did in the first half. Once Jacksonville was way up, then Houston probably pulled some of their defensive starters in the fourth quarter, and Riley Leonard hammered them. So I don't know. It's tough when you got such a good defense. But even here, it's the best defense is Jacksonville with the 17, but it's who they played. So you got to always, when you go last 5, you got to see Oh, they're playing the Jets, the Giants, Miami. Oh, well, of course they're not going to give up a lot of points. So I think it's what it is. But I think Jacksonville, pretty good defense, but they're not stopping Buffalo. Who are you kidding? Now, if they were playing Carolina, I would jump on Jacksonville. That would be a lock. They're playing Carolina and they're getting a point or lane 3. So the only straight ones, the Rams 10 over Carolina. That seems like a bit of a high number. If it gets down to 8, we can get it under a field goal, then I would definitely play it strong on the Rams. But as of now, it's more going to be played as an over because Stafford's going to throw for 4 touchdowns and get you to 28, and you need 40. And that's it. We can't trust Steve Young. So yeah, it's just a little too high. So I'm really hoping for the 8, and then I'll go 2. That's what I'm hoping for with the Rams. Otherwise, why the Bear Chicago game is not on, or the Bear Packer game is not on TV, I have no idea. These people are so stupid. Well, we'll make them pay on, was it on Peacock or Prime? Well, they paid for it. Yeah, but you got regular TV where everybody watches, and you got advertisers paying for that. So your local network must be pissed off, and you're selling it to Amazon Prime, so nobody's going to watch the game. How many people really have Amazon Prime just for football, right? So the Amazon Prime people, which I can't imagine there's too many, actually have it, right? Like I have Netflix. I would never buy Netflix to watch the Christmas Day games. Just like here, I would never buy, I'm not going to buy Amazon to watch Chicago Green Bay. That ain't never going to happen. I noticed there was one that they were charging $5 so you could watch the game, $5 for the day or for the week or something. Because that's my point. People aren't coming to watch the game. They either already have it. You have Netflix because you want to watch movies and whatever, or not. I mean, that's basically what it is. So anyway, good luck there. I got to do my teaser trends from last week. I wonder if I've done my teaser trends. I think I did, but let me make sure they all say 17. No, I got to update my teaser trends. Well, that's what I'll be doing right after this. Because that's really the most important is how they do in a teaser. In other words, is San Francisco a good dog? How's Pittsburgh as a home dog? And that's what I look at. Although it's tough because I can only really use this year because you got Aaron Rodgers who wasn't there last year. I can use the Rams in Carolina, but I can only use 1 year of the Bears. I can use Buffalo and Jacksonville. Now Jacksonville's got a new coach. Frisco, I can use Philly. I can use San Diego. Nope, new coach. New England, new quarterback and new coach. Houston, I can use. So I'm talking 2 or 3 years out. I can look at their trends. It's so tough, but you have to think like me to understand you can't use it. Just like when I hear these guys talk on gold and silver, they look at the charts and you're like, but there was no bricks back in 2008 or 2010 that you can compare the chart, which is all bullshit, derivatives and options. What are you even looking at? You think because there's a chart, there's no variables that have changed and you can just look at the gold price. Well, it did this and it's going to do that. And that's what it's going to do now. No, you have bricks and the demand is forcing the price up. So you can't use any of that. But people are too stupid. They're just yes people. They don't know how to think, and that's the problem with it. I was showing you I was showing you this. I was showing you the end of critical thinking one yesterday. It was a very good one. Maybe I'll show it again. It's just that people are just they're doing things for likes or to be liked or to get along, but they're not critically thinking. In other words, when we critical think, we go, why is gold? So why is silver going up? Well, because of the demand and because it's money and because the dollar is worthless. And that's why silver is going up. So we understand why. So we don't panic when it goes down. We know the banks are just fucking around. And we don't understand is why the banks are fucking around, because when they're shorting it, somebody's going to take the other position and ask for physical, which the banks don't have. I don't see how the banks are making any money. I don't get it. Or did they make money when it was 83 down to 77 and they made $6 on their contracts? If they got out then, and now it's starting to move back up, are they really making money? Let's check our gold and silver, and then maybe we will watch a little of that video, which was very good. And we are at 44.58 gold, 77.24. So silver's kind of hit a bottom at 77, down 372. Why? No reason. Just oh wait. I hate when it does that. It just updated. So what I have is silver 78.71. Aha, and gold 44.58. So silver's tricky like that. You look at it, and you think you got it, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. So we're right back to 78.71, and we've cleaned out a lot of these banks who are shorting the most demanded item in the world, and you're shorting it. It means I hope the price goes down. But if you understood that demand makes the price go up, why would you ever short it? You've got to be out of your mind. That's why these banks are all going bankrupt. All these banks are about to go bankrupt. So I'm curious what'll happen to credit cards. I'm curious mortgages, car payments. If you have it with a bank and the bank goes poof, then it goes to another bank, I guess. But when the dollar goes out, see, nobody wants to think the dollar's going out. All right. So good news. Back to 78.75. All right. Let's redo this critical thinking. Or we can watch the true origin of Peter Pan. These origin ones are pretty cool because he actually killed the little boys when they got older. But he's a nasty prick. But they turn it into a Disney thing where everything's fine. Gold currency launched, which we know, BRICS gold currency. I don't know who Egov Hayes looks Russian to me. Gold currency launched in BRICS, which is good news for us. Demand, they want a higher price. All right. So let's watch a few minutes of this end of critical thinking because I think it's very important for us.
This factor could help me reach my protein goal. Boy, was I wrong. Free high protein breakfast for a year? Yeah, that's real.
And wisdom cannot survive in a culture addicted to distraction. In the next part, we will go deeper into how modern systems, education, media, and even our economy are actively manufacturing intellectual weakness. You'll see how the very structure of our society rewards ignorance and punishes depth. And by the end, you'll understand why the final revelation may be the most alarming truth of all. The modern education system was once designed to enlighten minds, to cultivate curiosity, and to prepare individuals for a life of thoughtful contribution. But somewhere along the way, it transformed into a machine, one that values conformity over creativity, memorization over understanding, and obedience over critical thought. Think about the irony. We send children to school for more than a decade, yet most graduate without ever being taught how to think. They learn what to think, what to repeat, what to believe, but never how to question the world around them. Sir Ken Robinson once said, "Schools kill creativity," and he wasn't exaggerating. Our institutions were built on an industrial model, producing standardized minds to fit into standardized systems. And those systems, in turn, feed the very culture that rewards ignorance disguised as entertainment. When we teach students that there's only one right answer to every question, we kill the spirit of exploration that fuels true intelligence. The philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti warned that it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Yet this is exactly what our education prepares us for, to adapt to a system that values productivity over wisdom, image over substance, and compliance over truth. And once this conditioning begins, it doesn't stop in the classroom. It extends into the media we consume, the jobs we take, and the lives we build. The modern media landscape is no longer a tool for information. It's an instrument of manipulation. News outlets compete not to inform, but to provoke. Algorithms show us not what we need to know, but what keeps us emotionally charged, divided, and engaged. Every click, every scroll, every outrage is monetized. In this digital coliseum, critical thinking is not rewarded. Emotion is. The more reactive you are, the more valuable you become. As journalist Matt Taibbi described, we don't have information wars anymore. We have anger wars. And anger, fear, and distraction are the perfect tools to ensure that people never pause long enough to ask, who benefits from my ignorance? It's not that human beings are becoming inherently dumber. It's that we are being programmed to remain intellectually passive. We outsource our thinking to influencers, celebrities, and commentators who tell us what to believe, what to hate, and what to feel. And we call that awareness. But awareness without reflection is noise. And noise, when repeated long enough, becomes the soundtrack of a culture in decline. The late philosopher Marshall McLuhan once said, "The medium is the message." In other words, the way we receive information shapes the way we think. When we consume endless short-form content, our minds adapt to that rhythm, fast, shallow, and impulsive. This constant stimulation leaves no room for deep comprehension, for patience, or for critical analysis. Our economy thrives on this superficiality. A distracted person is the perfect consumer. A restless mind buys more, scrolls more, and questions less. Entire industries are built on the premise that your attention can be captured, fragmented, and sold. The more you react, the more valuable you become, not as a thinker, but as data. And while we are entertained,
So when you see these games and these stupid announcers go, how do you feel about making that shot or scoring that touchdown? Like, what do? They go to emotion because emotion, like, I'm excited. Well, really? You just scored the winning touchdown? You're actually excited? I mean, it's the stupidest question in the world. But you can see what they're doing. They're trying to get us on an emotional thing, and we'll buy more, and it'll be more exciting than being intellectual and thinking about things. So that's what so whenever you see that, oh, you just made that putt and you won the PGA. How do you feel? What do you mean? How do I feel? Oh, I feel great. I won. I mean, it's everything's emotion instead of real, right? And so instead, it should be not how do you feel, but what were you thinking? How did you make that putt? How'd you line it up? How'd you do it? And it's a lot less thinking. And then this whole doing the interview in the middle of the third quarter with the coach or middle of the inning with the managers is a distraction. So they're trying to distract us. They're trying to emotionalize everything. And it's really this wicked behavior that if you don't know what's going on, you're going to get trapped in it. So when they try to do emotional on you, you got to just stay cool. You can't buy into it. And then it's getting your anger and then getting your emotions. And then they hit on it and then they sell you things. So it's a marketing thing. It's just it's disgusting.
the collective intelligence of society quietly erodes. We are raising generations who no longer read books but rely on summaries, who no longer debate ideas but cancel opposing voices, who no longer seek truth but validation. The tragedy is not that people are losing intelligence, but that they are losing the desire to be intelligent. Psychologist John Twenger, in her research on generational trends, discovered a sharp decline in critical thinking and analytical skills among young adults. She attributes this partly to digital immersion, a life lived behind screens, where image matters more than insight. This constant connection has paradoxically created emotional and intellectual isolation. People are surrounded by information, yet starving for understanding. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you changed your mind about something important? In a culture that rewards certainty and punishes doubt, we've forgotten that the hallmark of intelligence is not having the right answers, but asking better questions. And that's exactly what has been lost. The courage to question, the patience to understand, the humility to admit we don't know. In the next part, we will go even deeper into the psychological and social mechanisms that make this dumbing down process not only possible, but profitable. You'll see how we've been subtly trained to accept mediocrity, to glorify ignorance, and to fear intellectual independence. And you'll begin to understand why the smartest people in history warned us that this moment would come. Because as we'll soon uncover, this is not just a cultural problem. It's a crisis of consciousness. And the system is built to keep it that way. We live in an era where distraction is currency and attention is the most valuable commodity. Every second of your focus is being fought over by companies, platforms, and institutions that have learned one simple truth. A distracted mind is an obedient mind. And the more fragmented your attention becomes, the easier it is to influence your thoughts, your emotions, and ultimately, your beliefs. This isn't accidental. It's a system, a design. Psychologist B.F. Skinner, one of the pioneers of behavioral conditioning, demonstrated that if you reward people randomly, they will keep repeating an action endlessly. That same principle is used in every social media app today. Every notification, every like, every new video is a tiny dopamine reward, a digital treat that keeps you hooked. We've become lab rats in a psychological experiment we never consented to. But the consequences of this go far beyond wasted time. Constant exposure to digital noise is changing the structure of our brains. Studies in neuroplasticity show that what we pay attention to literally rewires our neural pathways. When our minds are trained for speed, novelty, and instant gratification, deep thinking feels uncomfortable, silence becomes unbearable, and boredom, once the birthplace of creativity, now feels like a problem to be solved. Author Nicholas Carr, in his book The Shallows, What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains, explains that we are losing our ability to concentrate for long periods. He writes, "What the net seems to be doing is chipping away my capacity for concentration and contemplation. This slow erosion of attention is the silent epidemic of our age." And it's not just
So when I analyze gold or I analyze football, it allows me to keep reinforcing my concentration. So I can concentrate for obviously a long time as I do these classes for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours the other day, um, because I can concentrate and I can quickly move to other areas and keep concentrating on those that come up. Oh, this relates to that. So I'm going to talk about it, such as how gold relates to football by understanding what's going on. So you got to learn it, you got to understand it. Inflation, gold, the dollar, how does that go to football? But it relates. What are the keys to football? Oh, the quarterback, the defense, the coach. The best coach and the best quarterback and the best defense are going to win these playoff games. That's why I talk about the quarterbacks and go, well, there's no way Steve Young is beating Stafford. You got a better coach, better quarterback, and pretty much the better defense. So that's kind of what you're looking at. But you've got to understand the keys, and you can't just, you got to understand why these are the keys. Well, why is the coach the quarterback of the defense? And that's really the critical thinking part of it. Why gold and silver? Why am I buying this silver? Because this is worthless. Well, I know this is worthless. They print trillions of dollars and they got all these trillions in expense and in debt. So therefore, it's going to be a problem. And that's the point. So you understand that when I look at silver and it was 83 yesterday and it went down to 77, you start, well, it's okay there, but if it goes into the 60s where, then they're really fucking around, but then it gets to 77 and now it's back to 78 and you go, okay, then we're fine. Then it'll get back to the 80s and whatever they did won't work as it shouldn't because there's why? Because the demand for silver and the supply is very limited. That's why we're in it. We're in it because of the inflation. So everything makes sense. Why are you dating this girl? Well, she's pretty, but she's nice, and you like her, and you like spending time with her, and she makes you happy. Oh, okay. Well, then go date her. But if she's a bitch and she always wants my money and she doesn't really love me, and I don't feel, we're always fighting over money and that, then it doesn't work. You're not getting uh, the right needs out of it, or the right, why are you taking, well, why do you date anybody, right? So you've got to get something out of it that makes sense. Oh, good. Oh, she's coming over. Oh, good. We'll have a good time, and we talk, and the sex is good, and we'll go get, go get dinner or lunch, and it's nice to be with her. And that's what it's supposed to be. She respects me. She loves me. I love her. That's all the things you got to think about. It can't just be, well, she's real pretty. Well, not if she's a bitch, unless you want to be with a bitch. So you got to determine what you want, and then that's what you go after. But that's the key to it. So it works in everything. The job, do I like the boss? Does the company make money? And do I like what I'm doing? And if you do, then fine. And if you don't, get the hell out. There's nothing wrong with being unemployed and then looking for work, and then you get another job. That's really the key to it. So that's kind of what I'm saying. And it flows through for everything. You're trying to understand what it is that, what are you predicting, or what are I play poker, you're predicting. I got aces. Oh, that's a good hand. Should I play 8, 9 of diamonds? Should I bet, or should I call, or should I check? And if I check, what's he going to do? So you got to learn the players, like we learned football teams. And then you've got to, well, if I bet, he'll fold, unless if he comes over the top. So the poker lesson I taught you about on the river. So if your head's up and the guy's first to act and he checks, and you got a pair of queens, and so do you bet or not? And you go, well, he checked. You can't have too much, because if he had a big hand, he'd bet it, because he'd want to make money, right? That's why we're playing poker. So when he checks on the river, and now you bet $50 with your queens, and then he comes, he should fold, but he'll come over the top to try to bluff you out. It doesn't make sense. So when he tries that, you call him, because you've won 100% of the time. He's check raising you, and I have no idea why, because on the river you don't check raise. On the river, on the flop you can check raise. So if I have aces and you have a pair of eights, and the flop's an 8, and now you got a set of 8s, and you check to me because I made a big bet before flop because I got aces. So I continue with my aces, and then you check raise me. Okay, that makes sense. You're trying to trap me, but on the river it makes no sense, because you've checked where 100% of the time, if you had any hand, you would bet it, because you'd want to get paid off. The greed factor is too strong on the river to check. You'll never do it. So you check. I bet 50 because I'm greedy. Right? Why am I betting? Well, I got queens. He's checking. I think I can. And then he makes it 100. That doesn't make sense. You can't analyze that, because why would you make it 100? Why wouldn't you have just bet 50 before? Right? Wouldn't you want to get me out if you had like a pair of tens? Or you're just going to see the showdown. So you're just going to show me down. You check, I bet 50. You're just going to call, and I'm going to show queens. But to raise me, that's a bad play, because what do you think? I'm scared of the raise? Or if you think that I'm scared of the raise, I'm a better poker player than I thought, because I'm getting you to see something that isn't there. Why would I be scared of the raise? If I was scared of the raise, I would check back to you and say, I checked, I got queens, if I was scared of being re-raised. But that's where it is. And It's 100% of the time because it's the greed factor in you. It's not really the greed. It's just you want to make money, right? It's the make money factor. So I got trip nines. I'm not checking the river. And then if he bet, I just call. I got queens. I'm gonna call. But when you check, I know you don't. You can't check raise me once you check. Once you check the river, and I bet you cannot check raise me because it's going to be in your your possession that you want to make money. So you would never check because you don't know if I'm going to check. Right? I'm not going to bet $500 for you, and then you're going to come over the top for 1,000. I mean, that's never going to happen. You're checking. You don't have anything. I'm just going to bet a small amount, and if you raise me, I'm going to call you. And if my queens win, fine. If you make it 500, I'm going to laugh at you in a $30 pot, right? All right. So we're seeing here that things are becoming emotional. How do you feel? What was it like to win? So it's all these emotion questions that we just sit there and roll our eyes at on the football games, watch. So if the Rams win, they'll go to Stafford. How does it feel that you threw 8 touchdown passes and you won the game? How does that feel? What kind of stupid questions that? Bring me back Pat Summerall and John Madden. I mean, how does it feel? Of course it feels good, but so they're trying to switch us into emotions so we feel good, so we'll buy more. I mean, that's basically what it is. So I showed this yesterday. I'm not gonna I guess maybe we can do another 2 minutes.
Making us less intelligent. It's making us easier to control. Because when people no longer have the patience to think, they start to believe whatever is easiest to believe. The truth becomes less about evidence and more about emotion. In this climate, propaganda thrives, not through censorship, but through overload. When everything is information, nothing is truth. The philosopher Hannah Arendt warned that the ideal subject of a totalitarian regime is not the convinced Nazi or the committed communist. It is the person for whom the distinction between fact and fiction no longer exists. And that, tragically, describes much of our modern culture. We are bombarded.
So if I tell you to buy gold and it's a fact, you have to listen and understand why. I give a good explanation. But when I start talking to people at the gym or you start talking to people in your family, like Bobby, his daughter, right? She doesn't want to listen to it. She doesn't really want to know the truth. If everybody wanted to know the truth, everybody would be in gold and silver because it's the only out you have. The Titanic's sinking. You have to be in a lifeboat, or you're going to go down to the end of the bottom of the ocean. And that's what gold is. This is sinking. This is worthless. You have one play, which is to get into the lifeboat, gold or silver. That's your play. I'm sorry, that's it. This is sinking. So you have to understand the concept. This isn't worth anything because they printed too much of it. But most people don't understand that. Well, I got the $100. I can go to the grocery store and I have nothing. So that's the whole point. You have to understand, but do you want to know the truth? Do you want to know that this is worthless? Or do you just say, well, it's $100, so it's worth 100? It is, but the value of the 100 is dropped to nothing, dropped to $1. So that's what you really got to know is, do you want to know that this is worthless? And most people don't. Most people just want to bury their head in the sand and not understand that variables change and this is worthless now. And that this is the light. So this is going to sink. So I got to get into the lifeboat, which is this. Nobody wants to believe that this is worthless. Well, you can't keep printing. You can't have a $39 trillion debt and all the defense contractors and go to all these wars because you need money. I mean, if you don't know anything, why did we invade Venezuela? We wanted to steal their gold, silver, and oil. Only Russia and China got there first. So that's what you're really, that's why you're going to war. You're broke. We're in every fucking country trying to steal their gold, oil, and silver. That's why we're in the Ukraine and in Iran and in Venezuela and wherever else we're going. It's because we want to steal their stuff. Just like Hitler. Hitler invaded Czechoslovakia and Poland for their gold. They went to the central banks to do it. There really wasn't a war. It was all about, we're going to go steal your gold and silver out of the central bank. We're going to hide it in these tunnels. I showed you the video. I was watching that video yesterday on Monument Men when they see all this gold in this room, and that's what Hitler was doing. And then he's just defending it because they want their gold back. So you're Czechoslovakia. You just stole my gold. Well, I want it back. We'll have a war over it. That's really what the war was about, silver and gold. Everything else, Hitler, and when he went to Russia, he needed oil. He had no oil. And at that time, he probably couldn't trade with Saudi Arabia. They were trying to take the oil out of North Africa. But, you got trucks and planes and tanks, and you need oil for them. So, to run an army, it's a very expensive procedure. The U.S. has no army. Our army's shot. It's very small. We have no weapons. We gave them all to Ukraine. This was a CIA mission in Venezuela. This wasn't an army mission. This was the CIA operatives. So we've got like all these little armies. So anyway, here's one of my favorite clips. If I can find it. I'm not sure I can. Well, I can't find it. Must be in a different spot. But anyway, it had a grocery cart. You're at the grocery store, and what $100 would buy you in 1970, and it would fill the cart, and then in 1985, and it would, you get half the cart full. Well, it's probably here. Let me see. Well, I don't know. I don't want to waste your time. Yeah, anyway, I'll look for it. So it just shows you how the dollar's been devalued. So you look for little signs that the dollar's been devalued. But then you see the silver price go from $20 to 78 right now, $80, let's call it. So it's gone up 4 times. So in conjunction with the dollar going down, the silver and gold price are going up. That's how you beat inflation. That's not what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you a bunch of emotional stuff. They're never going to say come out straightforward and say, well, you need to buy gold and silver to break inflation. And by the way, inflation is money printing, not prices going up. I'm looking at my notes. The worst stage is hyperinflation. Money supply increases, prices increase faster due to expectations drive the whole system. So if you think the money's worthless, you'll go buy milk and eggs and tuna now because you know the price is going to go up higher later. And then that becomes the panic. And that's what hyperinflation really is. But that's what you have, is they don't tell you all that. But that's what I try to I try to accurately tell you what's going on. So just think we want to be in a lifeboat. We want to be in gold and silver. And the reason is because this is worth shit. So once we understand this, why is it worth shit? Because they keep printing it and it's not backed by anything. I was talking to somebody about crypto. It's the same thing. It's not backed by anything. It's not even real. I can at least see here's a euro, here's a €5. This is what it looks like. I got it in my hand. I don't know why people are so fast. Well, let's go to digital money. That was paper. We don't need it. We just need digital money. Digital money's not real. It's not backed by anything. And you don't even know what it looks like. They can just as quickly take it away from you. Oh, you have 100 credits and you want to go to lunch. Oh, well, sorry, there's no credits. What do you mean there's no credit? You never have that problem when you have your credit card and you have your money. You can't say, I don't have $5. Here's $5. I want to buy something. Or let's say this was $100. Well, here's the 100. I want to go to dinner. And it can't take it away from you. But with credits, you go use it and it's not there. You're fucked. And what are you going to do? Well, I had 100 credits. Well, it's gone now. So, I mean, this is the problem. The only safe is that, and the safe is holding this physical, right? It's in my hand. I know what it looks like. It's physical. That's the most important thing. These ETFs are a joke. They're not real. And stocks, you got to be careful with. Not that they're not real, but they might not give them to you, right? You could very easily have problems with your stocks where I want to sell my 100 shares of Amazon and they don't give it to you. So you got to be careful with that. It is curious why Amazon and Apple have gone into like TV and televising football games, and all of a sudden their stock shots up like that's a good thing, except for you're not going to get the viewers you think you're going to get or the subscriptions because not everybody's jumping in to buy Amazon and Apple TV. No, thank you. I've got the antenna on Roku and I can see the games on Fox and CBS. And if I miss a game, I'll just watch it on like tomorrow. I don't know if they'll be on ABC, but these college playoff games, they're on ESPN, which I don't get. And I'm not going to buy it. I don't even know if I can buy it because my internet company doesn't have it. So I think I might be able to like buy Sling or something and watch the games like that. But fuck them. I'm not going to do that. Where was I? I was at some place. Oh no, I was with the list yesterday. So she wanted, I got her caramel. I went to the grocery store in the morning and got her caramel. And I was doing my grocery shopping, but a little old thing of Hershey's caramel, $2. And so she said, well, I like some ice cream. So she said, well, let's stop at the Speedway gas station. And they have the little containers. And I said, no, I don't like that because they're like $6, $7 when they're $3 at the grocery store. And if I'm going to get it for you, I could get you the tub for $3. So we stopped at Kroger's and I got her the tub of French vanilla, which was $2.99 for the big 1 gallon or whatever it is. And she already had the caramel. And I said, there's no value to spend $6, $7 at the Speedway, which is now 7-Eleven, which I don't like to give them my business. And notice they don't change the name. They still say Speedway. I said, there's no value in it. I don't want to spend $7 on I don't mind buying you ice cream, but we happen to be driving past the Kroger's. I said, let's stop in here and I will get you the ice cream. And and then they had the Kroger's brand for $2.99, which who cares? And she liked it because she likes eating her caramel. She's like a caramelholic. So she, you buy her that, it's probably already finished. It was like 8 ounces. She probably just dumps it in. But that's what she gets. But it becomes value. What's the value of things? And so you can see the value of the $100 doesn't buy you anything. I got a lot of veggies yesterday because I kind of run out over the weekend. So I get cauliflower and broccoli and celery and an onion and some peppers, and I'll cut them all up after class. And it's just it's a better value at Meijer's than it is at this where I get the meat, which is a more expensive grocery store, but I only get the meat there because it's the same price but better quality. So again, critically thinking, right? So that's where you're at. It's the value. So if you see $20 steaks, it's not a good value. If you go get ribs and they're $60 for a slab of ribs, you're not going to buy it. You have to, and the reason is not because the dollar, it's probably a fair price, but it's the value. It's the perception of the value. Am I getting value for my $20 to buy a steak when the value was $13 to buy the steak? And that's where the market works. It's the value. See, but now we're critically thinking, and most people aren't. Well, it is what it is. I heard that. I almost threw up. There's a friend of mine who kept saying it is what it is. I couldn't be friends with him anymore because I think it's the stupidest comment I've ever heard. What do you mean it is what it is? No, you can substitute, you can change. If the salmon's too expensive, you get fish or whatever. So I hate that expression. It is what it is implies, well, there's nothing I can do, and whatever it is, no, you can substitute and go to different stores or find it cheaper, like I do. And I just hate that comment. Again, that's an emotional give up. Well, whatever it is, and I'll just pay whatever it is. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so that's understanding markets, understanding value. So what value do I place on a car, on a house, on a steak? And when the Camry guy wanted to make the Camry 35,000, the Toyota guy, nobody thought that was a good value. And Ford keeps raising their price and nobody thinks it's a good value. So nobody buys it. Oh, I can buy this car over here. It's about holding your money and keeping as much of it as you can. It's not really greed, it's just intelligence. And if I can buy something for $2 instead of $4, and that's what I kind of did yesterday with her vanilla ice cream. Nobody knows the difference between Kroger's French vanilla and Breyer's French vanilla. It's all ice cream. It's all made the same. I don't think, is the ingredients better? I don't know. You don't know enough to know. So you sit there and you buy, you get that. And the value of $2.99 versus $5.49 was worth it. So that's really the perception is your value. What do I value? How much do I pay for the steak or the ribs or the chicken or the Chinese food or whatever? And that's really what it is. So if it's a fair price and it's good value, I go Chinese and I get a ton of sweet and sour chicken. I get a ton of chicken. That's a good value for what I'm paying. It's a good value. Anyway, so that's what you do. That's how it is. It's the same thing. Is it a good friend? Is it a good value? Are they nice to you, or are they just trying to take your money? Do they kind of mock you? And it's like I don't need you to be my friend. I need very few friends because I'm independent on my own and don't want to take the bullshit because I've had problems before with friends where they just try to take your money or use you, and it's like, fuck you, I'm not going to be used. I don't need it. I'm fine, content by myself. which is hard to get to, but once you get to it, it's great. But that's a lot of it. It works in everything, right? It's are you getting value? Is it worth spending time with somebody? Is it worth buying steak and salmon or whatever? And at what price? Is it a good value? So that's what we're running into. So as this goes away, it takes too much of this. But if you realize this is money, so somebody asked me yesterday, I was in the sauna and the guy goes, well, what are you going to sell your gold and silver for? What, for fiat currency? And I'm going, no, you don't understand. This becomes the currency. This is the currency. All right. They haven't admitted it yet, but that's what BRICS is doing. They're coming out with gold-backed currency like now. In January, they're having gold-backed currency. China, I think Russia's coming out in February, but everybody's coming out with gold-backed currency to make the money valuable. And so that's what you want. Is this will be the money? That's the key point. This was the money. Nobody wants it, and when nobody wants it, it ain't the money anymore. So you gotta be careful, and you got to get out of it. So I'm telling you to get out of that money and into the gold and silver. And you can see silver went from 20 to 80, and it's just beginning. It's not high. It's going to go higher. I think what the banks do is they look at the chart and they go, oh, it's so high, we can short it. But they're missing the whole point. It's the demand for it that makes the price go up. And it's very limited, the physical world. And you're looking at paper charts. They don't even understand that. So the more you understand and the more you can think and figure things out, the better you're going to be, which is kind of what that video was. Attack on Wall Street. So I was watching that just for fun. It's my Christmas movie. And the guy, he doesn't know he's made a bad investment. You guys told me I was safe, in the real estate trust. But here goes the real estate market crashing. Well, he didn't know that. And then he trusted somebody who was not a friend, didn't value him, basically just wanted his commission. And so you're dealing with people that want your commission. They don't care about you. Well, that's not the people you deal with. You deal with the people that care about you. And that's a hard thing to find, is you're looking for people that honestly, care about you and hope you're well. And, it's a fair trade. But that's the point. So in that movie, he thinks they're taking care of him, and he thinks the real estate trust is good, but he doesn't understand. And then he doesn't get out of it. He never gets out of it to go buy gold and silver as the 2008 housing crash happened. Why? Because they're selling mortgages to people that couldn't afford them, that had no business buying them. The trade was not good. The people that they were selling the mortgages to couldn't afford to pay them back when the interest rates went up. So he's stuck into this thing. And then the Wall Street firm says, oh, let's dump it. Forget it. We're just going to delete this whole real estate trust. Anybody with 60 grand, it's now worth zero. And that's kind of what's going to happen here. Anybody holding dollars, it's going to be worth zero. And you're going to be fucked. And don't act like you didn't know what to do. So I'm telling you before this. So we're Attack on Wall Street guy right now, right? So he's got 60 grand in a real estate trust. What he doesn't know is to get out of it and go to the savior and go buy gold and silver. He doesn't understand that. So he's sitting in the dollar, never getting out of it. And then it crashes because the real estate crashed and now it's worth zero. Well, he could have taken his 60, sold it and bought this, and then he'd be worth 120 instead of getting fucked over. It's his own fault for not being a critical thinker, for just letting them tell him what to do. Right. So he's going, well, I trusted you. You guys guaranteed it was 60,000. I was supposed to make money on it. And here you're fucking me over. And it's your problem, buddy. You didn't ask. You didn't critically think. You didn't look around and see that the market was crashing. All the housing market was crashing. You didn't look at it, and therefore you didn't see it. And instead of getting out of where you were because it's very bad and getting into safe haven, you didn't do that. So when it went to zero, that's your fault. And that's what I say now. If you don't get out of this and into this, it's just your fault. When this goes to zero, you could have been in this. That's your fault. We know what the banks are doing. We know they're inflating this to zero. It's already there, but we can still use it to trade to get this. So the only issue is it's your fault if you hold on to 100,000 of this instead of getting 100,000 of this or gold, preferably gold. That's your fault, even though they're fucking you and they're not telling you, and you don't realize. You think you're safe. I got 500,000 of monopoly money. I've got all this money in my stocks in my bank, and you think you're okay, but it's attack on Wall Street. It's gonna go to zero, but they're not going to tell you that. Just like, why didn't they tell attack on Wall Street guy? Oh, by the way, I'd get out of the real estate trust and into gold because the real estate trust is going to go break. It's going to go bankrupt. You get out of it, but nobody told them that. Instead, they just fucked them over, and they well, it's been deleted. Sorry, so you just lost 60 grand. So you want to play with Wall Street? They're going to win, right? Unless you can critically think, find somebody like me who's an economist who can tell you what's going on and get you the fuck out of the dollar before it goes to zero, and you end up, what the fuck happened? You can't lose in gold and silver, right? This is never going to zero. This is already at zero, and that's the difference. All right, I think that's it. Another phone call. Probably somebody selling me a shower or something. So that's what's going on. So football, free pick. What the hell was the free pick? Free pick is Green Bay as a dog. How many times do I have to get calls from these people? And I don't think I free picked a college game. Yeah, we're just going with Green Bay as the free pick this week. I do have one lot going, and I have played the college games, and I'll play probably every game. Now that we were able to find the weather, that helps, and we'll go from there. Anyway, www.teaserking.com, and have a nice Wednesday, I think. So who's calling me? It's Alyssa on a different number. So anyway, just think logically and be able to think, be able to use your cognitive skills, ask why. Don't rely on people unless they can give you the answer. You can rely on me because I'm telling you, this is printed, it's worthless. This can't be printed, it's not worthless. Those are the people you want to listen to, or bring it into me and say, this is what I heard. What do you think? And I tell you to get out of stocks, get out of Bitcoin, and just go buy your gold and silver and live happily ever after, like Snow White and the Three Stooges. So anyway, go watch your Attack on Wall Street and realize the guy should have sold and got out of it. All right. That's it. So let's see what Alyssa wants. www.teaserking.com if you want to buy this week's. You can buy the rest of the year, all the playoffs for $200. If you want to buy this week's, we can go like $50 for this week's playoffs. Even though there's a few games, we still know how to pick winners. So had a big week last week with the big locks, Texas Tech under, Miami under, Indy under. So we're looking forward to that. So that's why I pick unders. I don't really know who's going to win as much as I know the game's going to be low scoring. So that's what makes me go there. All right. www.teaserking.com. Have a good day, everybody. I should hopefully see you tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So anyway, tomorrow the playoffs start. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good day. Buy your gold and silver.